Good morning. Welcome back to my studio. My name is Mary Corrodo. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and I am from Mary Corrodo Interiors. And today I am going to be showing you some new transfers that I just received. These are full color transfers that you can use on virtually anything. They work beautifully on furniture if you want to stain a piece and then add maybe some beautiful transfers onto it. It also works beautifully on accessories, and today I am going to do it on an acrylic tray. I'm going to turn the camera down and I'm going to show you. Here is my clear acrylic tray, which I absolutely love because I just think it's so beautiful to sit on a table and have it some of the surface still show through from underneath. So what I'm going to do is I use these measuring mats that you use for quilting or sewing, and they have a built-in grid, which makes it so nice when you're using an acrylic tray that is see-through to be able to line it up, and that way you know when you are putting your images down that they will be nice and straight. Now, I also have a few other. I've got beautiful butterflies from Amy. I've got these beautiful scripts that are they look like old postcards. And so I'm gonna do not only the leaves on here, but I'm gonna make like almost a scrapbook page. And so to get started, this is already pretty much cut apart. So you just need to grab my scissors. I'm gonna take a couple little pieces off that I don't want on there. So you just cut your transfer. You peel it from the paper that it comes with. And then you have your transfer, which this side is sticky. This is the side you rub. So I'm going to add this. Now this doesn't have to be perfectly straight on here. I think what I'm gonna do is kind of put it a little bit askew, just so it looks like it's more of a scrapbook page. And press it well. Now this, of course, is clean. I just took it out of its box and I just kind of made sure there was no residue in it. So now that this is pressed down nicely, we're going to use the tongue depressor that comes with the stencils, and we are just going to start rubbing. And you want to rub this, give it some good pressure, and you will be rubbing this down so that it adheres and transfers onto the substrate. So this takes a little bit. Oh, you can see it start to come up. Let's see if you can see that. See where that's starting to adhere to the bottom, and it's starting to lift off of the page. And so that is what you want. So you want to keep rubbing. Burnish this really well. It takes a little bit of, once it starts, it's good, but it takes a little bit of elbow grease to rub it on here. There you go, that's lifting up. Once it starts to lift, you can kind of work with it, kind of lift it as you burnish. So as I continued to burnish this
onto my tray, now is a perfect time for you guys to come on and introduce yourselves. If you will just tell us where you're from, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to know who's watching. And if you would be so kind as to share this with 3 friends, your name will go into a drawing and you could possibly win the leaf transfers from Amy Howard at Home. So be sure to share, say hi, and thanks again for watching.
Okay, almost done with this one. Awesome, looking good. So far, here's what we have. Love it. Okay, now we are going to, I'm gonna kind of feel this, make sure it feels nice and burnished. And now do be careful, don't do too much scratching of the surface. It will show a bit, especially if it's on the outside and it's because it's so clear. So just be kind of careful, just a little bit careful with your acrylic tray. Okay, now I'm going to add the beautiful greenery. And this is going to be just kind of random. So let's see what we might want to do here. Okay. See what I want to choose. The beauty of this is you can put it underneath your tray and you can get a little bit of an idea of what it's going to look like. You can lay it right over what you've done, or you can line it up along the side. Whatever you want to do. Okay, I think we're going to take a few, cut them, you just cut them out. You could do this whole sheet on an acrylic tray if you wanted, just to have a this beautiful design. It can go down right as is, or you can cut them apart and use the pieces that you want. Clearly, I am just going to cut them apart. I think I'm going to do something here. Now, once you peel off the backing, again, it will be easier to see it down. So I think I'm just going to lay this one right here. Burnish it down with my fingers. I'm going to give it a good burnish onto the surface. There's no problem going straight over the other transfer. You can start to lift the edge a little bit and see if this has started to adhere. Oh, it has. Good. That will help to get everything down. Excellent. Excellent. A little extra. this point, since it doesn't matter if things are very straight, I'm going to just show you on a white background. So now you can start to see the image of the design. Maybe that up there. Okay, let's start to burnish. I still want to get a butterfly on here. And how pretty will this tray be? This is something that for me, looks like something you could use outside if you're having friends over, serving a drink on it, or an afternoon tea, or something pretty like that. It just looks so gardeny and very sweet. Okay. Ooh, it's looking good. All right, if I were to do another little sprig, let's do another little sprig of greenery. I'm just going to add actually a couple of these, which have fallen off of there, they look like, which is perfect. Gonna burnish this right on. Perfect. I'm just going to go ahead and place this. And burnish. Keep going on this guy. And then the fun part is we are going to be playing with resin. So let's get this on here and then we will move on to coating and protecting this whole thing. So let me see. Make sure I get their little feelers. Antenna. That's what they're called, right? Their little antenna. Put that on there nicely. Okay. Got it. Awesome. Can you see that a little bit? It's really pretty. It's so pretty. Love it. Okay, one of a kind. Okay, so now that this part is done, I'm going to show you how to mix and use Amy Howard's acrylic resin. Okay, so since we're going to be using the Amy Howard acrylic resin and the acrylic resin hardener. So these are from Amy Howard at Home. And for the sake of time, I've already poured equal parts. Okay, we want to use a stir stick. We want to pour them together, and we are going to be mixing these for 3 minutes together. And when you are pouring these together, you will see that they have some bubbles, and it will create more bubbles. But if you are very careful, stir slowly, do not continue to lift and agitate this way, your bubbles will stay to a minimum, but you definitely want to keep your bubbles to a minimum. I am now going to pour carefully one into the other. If you kind of pour it slowly down the side, it will not create more bubbles. So you want to get all of that in there. Scrape the edges. You want as much of that in there as you can since you did do equal parts. It's very important to have equal parts, and you really should be. If you have a scale, you can weigh it. If you have a measuring cup, you can use a measuring cup. You can eyeball it, however you want to do it, but be very careful. Okay, now we are going to stir, and we need to incorporate both resins together. This is what will activate it and let it harden. But I'm just carefully going around, scraping the edges as we go, and time it on your phone, however you want to do it. But we do need to do this for 3 whole minutes. The trick to this also is if you have a heat gun, that is super, super helpful for getting rid of bubbles that will rise to the surface, and it will help the bubbles dissipate. So I highly recommend a heat gun. But we're just going to keep stirring. Remember, when you are using resins, to please wear a mask, always wear gloves, and if you need to cover your eyes with goggles, that is helpful also. And you don't want to, if you use it often, you definitely do not want to be breathing the fumes. Okay, I'm still stirring. As you can see, there are several bubbles in here. But hopefully, once we pour this onto our surface and use our heat gun, those will all dissipate. Okay, get this out of the way, and I'm going to bring over the tray. If you see anything in there, make sure you get it out before it's incorporated in with the resin. But now what we're going to do is just pour all the way around. We're going to scrape everything out. We are going to want this to be perfectly leveled everywhere, so we're going to have to lift it and help the resin move around. Also, you can also use your stick as a level to pull. You just always try to be careful not to get too much on the edges so that it looks messy. Once we get this pretty close to the edges, then we can go ahead and tilt some more.
It is self-leveling, but I do like to help it along.
Okay, let's see if we can work from it from here. Okay, now this is where you want to use your heat gun. This will help to get rid of some of the bubbles that are in here. Let's get out our heat gun, and you will see it immediately start to take away the air bubbles. I don't know if you can see that because of the camera, but it's really cool. It's like instantly clears it up, and it looks great. Okay. At this point, you do not want to go back in and touch it. It is already starting to set. Okay, I don't want to overdo this. I just want to make sure. I got most of the bubbles that I wanted out. Now we wait and let this dry, and you have got yourself a gorgeous, gorgeous tray. So this was a nice way to incorporate a couple of Amy's different products and create something very beautiful and something one of a kind. So I absolutely love this. I love the transfers. They add so much personality to pieces, and this was just one example of showing you how to use her transfers. Don't forget, you can use them on furniture, you can use them on all kinds of goodies. So have fun trying it, and thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.